Buddhaṃ saraṇaṃ gacchāmi, Dhammaṃ saraṇaṃ gacchāmi, Saṅgham saraṇaṃ gacchāmi. Sati mato sada bhadraṃ satima sukhamedati. Mindful one is always good. Mindful one lives happily. Friends, according to the teaching of the Buddha, this whole world, whole universe is ever changing. It is an ever changing flask. Everything, animate or inanimate, everything is ever changing. If we grasp this change in flask, change in nature, change in object, then we have to suffer. Buddha realized this reality 2600 years ago. And lately, the great scientist Einstein, he realized this. He said whole world is nothing but a vibration. So, to understand this nature, we have to practice mindfulness. If we practice mindfulness, we can understand this nature. This is why we want to practice mindfulness. This is why we have designed this retreat as a mindfulness retreat. Here, in this retreat, as I said yesterday, we are going to talk about different aspects of mindfulness. What is mindfulness? Mindfulness and clear comprehension, mindfulness of brain, 4 foundations of mindfulness, and how mindfulness leads to right liberation. These are the different topics that we want to explain, we want to understand in this retreat. So tonight, for this Dhamma talk, our topic is mindfulness. What is mindfulness? Mindfulness is not a word, not a mere word. It is neither a word nor a symbol. It is an activity. It is a mental activity which takes place before thought, before concept. If you are mindful, when you give attention, you are mindful where no thoughts, no concept, simply you observe it. This is, in other words, it is the presence of mind in the present moment. Presence of mind in the present moment. Where you are conscious of it. The famous word is attention, bare attention. You know Venerable Ñāṇaponika, who wrote the book, The Heart of Buddhist Meditation, he explained this term, he used this term, bare attention. What is bare attention? That is mindfulness. Bare attention means attention without label, without concept. With attention without any judgment, non-judgmental attention, in other words. That is mindfulness. The Buddha used the term Sati, mindfulness. For mindfulness, Pali term is Sati, S-A-T-I. So, Sati has this, the term mindfulness has different synonyms as well, like awareness, earnestness, alertness, diligence. These are different synonyms for mindfulness. In the discourses, we find a word which is a bit similar to sati. That is sati. When you pronounce, you can see the difference, you can understand the difference. Sati and sati. The term sati is combined with the prefix of anu. Then it becomes anusati. Anusati means you remember, recollect. So sati and sati, two different things. Sati is to remember, recollect. Sati is to be mindful in the present moment. Though you remember many things, however much things you remember, you cannot attain enlightenment. You cannot cut off your defilements through recollecting anything that you have kept in your mind. But you to be mindful in the present moment. It is to mindful in the present moment that you can see things as they are. If you do not see things as they are, you cannot attain enlightenment. You cannot cut off defilements. Sakkaya Ditti, the personality belief first. You cannot cut off this through remembrance, remembering many things in the past. So that is the difference. If you are mindful in the present moment, physically and mentally you are here. What happens to us? We are not mindful. As worldlings, we are always thinking of either past or something in future. So we are not mindful. We are not in the present moment. It is because of our perception. Our perceptions, when we grasp things, when we see something, we perceive something, we either grasp something or we push something that is with repulsion. I think it is important to understand this perception, how this perception takes place. You know, we are exposed to the world through these 6 senses: eye, ear, nose, tongue, body and mind. We have 6 senses. Some people talk only of 5 senses. Buddha has talked about this special sense which is mind. So we have to talk about 6 senses. Through these 6 senses we receive data. We try to understand the world, but that itself is a delusion. Because through these 6 senses we cannot understand the world as it is. So, when we see something, we have eye, form, then consciousness. Meeting of the 3 is called contact. When we have contact, then there arises feeling. The Buddha said, Passa Pacha Vedana. When there is contact, there arises feeling. Feeling is threefold: pleasant feeling, painful feeling, and neutral feeling. So, Whenever we have pleasant feeling, we grasp it, we attach to it. That is where craving arises. Then when we have craving, then attachment. When we have attachment, then existence, birth, like that. We make a circle, samsaric cycle. And on the other hand, the other extreme is repulsion, aversion. That is painful. When the feeling is painful, we don't like. That is where aversion arises. If not, we are in the middle, but middle itself is not the right thing. If we are not mindful, middle is indifferent. That is what is called delusion. That is where we have to be mindful, to understand things as it is, things as they are. Then only we can understand things as they are. For this purpose, we have to practice mindfulness. So, mindfulness is to be practiced, developed and cultivated to understand at the time of contact. When we have contact through I, form, consciousness, meeting of the three is called contact. That is the point, that is the place where we have to be mindful. If we are mindful, then we can understand craving, aversion, delusion. Greed, hatred and delusion, in other words. When the ear, sounds and ear consciousness come together. When nose, smell, nose consciousness come together. When tongue, taste and tongue consciousness come together. Body, tangible object and consciousness come together. When mind, mental object and mind consciousness come together, we have to be mindful. That is what is called contact. That is where we have to be mindful. If we are mindful, then we can make a different circle. It is not craving circle, but wisdom circle. When we practice mindfulness, when we develop our concentration, develop our vipassana, develop our wisdom, that is how we make this panya circle, wisdom circle. So, it is clear that mindfulness, clear comprehension and wisdom, these three should go together. Mindfulness, clear comprehension and wisdom. Then we can understand things as they are. For that, we should have right understanding. Right understanding is very important. It is the first step of the path. If the first step is that you take the first step, the wrong step, then the whole path is wrong. That is why right understanding is that important in the teaching of the Buddha. Right understanding and the effort, right effort. Both these are very important. When I talk about this, it reminded me very interesting story. One monk, how he practiced mindfulness. He was a passionate monk. Normally the monk should be compassionate. This monk was a passionate monk. He was famous as a passionate monk. He was none other than Buddha's first cousin. Buddha's first cousin, Nanda. Perhaps you have heard the story. Nanda was the son of Pajapati, the Buddha's foster mother. You know, after the Buddha's mother passed away, 7 days after his birth, Buddha's mother passed away. Then her sister Pajapati, she had a baby named Nanda. So she gave the baby to nurses and she took Siddhartha and milked him and brought him up. So Nanda, when he grew up, the Buddha attained enlightenment. After his renunciation, Buddha attained enlightenment, and after 1 year, Buddha visited his home country, the native place. When the Buddha visited there, the 3rd day, when he visited there together with about several thousands of arahants, Buddha visited home. The 3rd day, Buddha went to Nanda's place, Nanda's home, where there was an event, triple event. That was a triple event. Nanda's coronation, wedding, and housewarming ceremony. This triple event on the same day. Now, when the Buddha visited him, they offered food to the Buddha. Then Buddha received food and asked Nanda to take the bowl. Nanda is the bridegroom. Now, he was asked to take the bowl, and then he got the bowl, and Buddha went to the monastery. Then Nanda followed the Buddha. Buddha did not take the bowl back, and Buddha went to the monastery. Nanda also followed the Buddha. When Nanda followed the Buddha, his bride, Kalyani, Janapada Kalyani, she saw that he was following the Buddha. Then she said, Nanda, please come soon. Come back soon. So then he went to the monastery. When he went to the monastery, Buddha suggested him to get his ordination on that day, the day that he had wedding, his coronation and his housewarming. Buddha suggested him to get his ordination. He couldn't refuse. He said yes. And then he was ordained, but his mind was not in the monastery. That was with his bride. So, several days he couldn't make his mind. It was clear. Both monks understood this, and he was so upset and quite disappointed. He wanted to disrobe. Then the Buddha took him to a trip in Himalayas. When he was taken this trip, Buddha showed him a female monkey, a charred monkey on the stump. Showing that, Buddha asked him, how your bride, is she more beautiful than this? Then he said, why not? Then from there he was taken to heaven to show the nymphs. When he saw these nymphs, he was so attractive, and he when he saw these so beautiful nymphs, the Buddha said, if you would like one as your wife, I can suggest and I can do that, but you have to practice. Buddha said, you have to practice meditation. You have to follow the Dhamma. Then he agreed, and then when they came to the monastery, Venerable Venerable Nanda started to practice. Now the monks sort of teased him, say that he was practicing to gain nymphs. So, however, he practiced well with diligence, with right understanding and effort. He practiced what? Mindfulness. Buddha understood that he practiced well, he then attained enlightenment. Now, after his enlightenment, Buddha said how he practiced mindfulness. That is the important thing for all of us. Buddha said, when Nanda practiced, whenever he wanted to see the east, he looked at the east. Whenever he look at the east, he has no craving, no lust, no aversion, no delusion, no other thoughts. He just look at the east. Whenever he wants to see the west, he see the west. Like that. That is how he practiced. It is because of that practice of mindfulness, he soon attained enlightenment. Then further Buddha said, whenever he has feeling in his mind, whenever feeling arises, he knew that. Whenever feeling in his mind, he knew that. Any sensation. Whenever it fades away, he knew that clearly. That is why so soon he attained enlightenment, the Buddha said. So friends, this is how the Buddha taught us the importance of practicing mindfulness. Buddha, even before his birth, he was mindful. When he was in the heaven, Tusita, he was from Tusita, the heaven. While he was in the heaven, Tusita, he was mindful. When he descended to his mother's womb, he was mindful. Buddha said this in the discourses. If you'd like, you can read the discourse named Wonderful and Marvelous Things. Sutta number 1, 2, 3. 123. Majjhima Nikaya, the Middle Length Saints. Buddha said how he descended mindfully. And he said he was in his mother's womb, he was in his mother's womb mindfully. When he was delivered, he was mindful. And he led the life mindfully. So he was born mindfully, he led lay life mindfully, and then he renounced lay life and practiced 6 years rigorous practices, austerities. During that time, he says, though I did not take enough food and drinks, and anything enough, my body became almost a skeleton, like a skeleton. But I had unremitting mindfulness. My mindfulness was so sharp. Mindfulness he practiced. On the day that he attained enlightenment, what he practiced? Mindfulness. Mindfulness of breathing. As the result, he attained enlightenment by realizing 3 principles in the world. 4 noble truths, the dependent origination, and the 3 characteristics of existence. How he understood this? It's through mindfulness. He developed mindfulness. So like that, the Buddha practiced mindfulness. Not only Buddha, all his disciples, they all practice mindfulness. Once a certain deity came to the Buddha and said, Aranye viharantanang santanang brahmacharinang ekabattang bunjamananang kena vanna pasidati. I want to use Pali. Don't scare about Pali. Don't afraid of Pali. Pali, we want to understand Pali also. Without Pali, we cannot understand Dhamma. So, though I recite Pali, I give you the translation. Don't worry about Pali. Aranye Viharantanam, the deity says, Bhante, your disciples, they live in the woods, in the forest. Aranye Viharantana. Santanam, they are peaceful. Brahmacharinam, they are celibate. They lead celibate life. Ekabathang bunjamananam, they eat only one meal a day. Ekabatta means one meal a day. They live in the woods. They eat only one meal a day. But their faces are beautiful, bright. Their complexion is bright. What is the reason? The deity asks. Buddha said, Atitang nanu sochanti. They don't regret, repent on their past. Atitang nanu sochanti. Nappajappanti nagatang. They don't ponder, they don't think too much of their future. Nappajappanti nagatang. Pachuppanne yapenti. They live in the present moment. They depend on the present moment. Whatever available. Tena vanna pasidati. That is why they are bright. Their countenance, their faces are bright. Their complexions are bright. Because they live in the present moment. What is that? Mindfulness. If you are practicing mindfulness, you are in the present moment. So, like that, we have to understand mindfulness. In the Dhammapada, there's a very famous stanza. Appamado amatapada. Mindfulness is the way to deathlessness. Mindfulness is the way to deathlessness. Appamado amatapada. Pamado machuno pada. Unmindfulness is the way to death. Pamado machuno pada. Appamatta na miyanti. Mindful ones never die. They are ever lived. They are, though they, like, when they are mindful, they attain enlightenment. That's the meaning. Once you attain enlightenment, you don't die. Appamatta namiyat. Ye pamatta, those who are unmindful, are like dead ones. Though they are alive, they are like dead bodies. That's the meaning. Mindfulness, when practice mindfulness, if you simply practice only mindfulness, that is not enough. It should be blended with metta, loving friendliness. That is why when we practice mindfulness, we chant Metta Sutta, this loving friendliness discourse. We practice loving friendliness. So, mindfulness and metta should be well blended. The Buddha has pointed out this. Buddha has talked about this in different occasions. On different occasions. Once a certain devil, he said what I recited at the beginning. He said, Sati mato sada badra. Satima sukha medati. Sati mato sue seyo veracha parimunchati. He said, Sati mato sada badra. Mindful one is always good. This particular devil came to the Buddha and said, if you are mindful, you are always good. That is how he put it. Sati mato sada badra. Satima sukhamedati. Mindful one lives happily. And further he said, Sati mato sue seyo. Mindful one sleeps well. Veracha parimunchati. He has no hate, no hatred. That is how he put it. The Buddha agreed the first 3 lines, but not the last one. That is, he said, the mindful one is appeased, mindful one has no hate. Buddha said, no. Even though you are mindful, if you have no metta, no loving friendliness, you have not cut off your hate. For that, the Buddha said, one has to practice non-violence, day and night, non-violence, and extend metta to all beings. It is through metta that you can appease, you can completely cut off hate, aversion. In the Metta Sutta, Karaniya Metta Sutta, love and friendliness discourse, we recite every day, where it is said, Etang sating aditteya. Sati, there you see the word sati. Sati is mindfulness. So metta and sati, there, it is together. It is blended in the Karaniya Metta Sutta. It is blended in this particular discourse, love and friendliness discourse. Etang sating aditteya. This sati, this mindfulness. What mindfulness? Metta mindfulness. Mindfulness blended with metta should be determined, should be practiced, should be extended. That's the meaning. When practice mindfulness, Buddha has given us some similes. Let's understand some similes for mindfulness. Buddha said it is like a person taking a bowl full of oil crossing a crowded group of people. Suppose there's an announcement that the most beautiful girl, the dancer, is going to dance, the Buddha said. Then the people flock there, they come there to see this most beautiful girl singing, dancing. When they are there, crowded, there's one particular person, he wants to get his revenge from another person. So to that person he says, now take this bowl, which is full to the brim, it's full with oil. Now this person says, take this bowl and you have to go through this crowd without spilling, without dropping a drop. And another person is coming behind, raising a sword, coming. If he drops a drop, his head's cut off. Now think of it. Can he drop a drop of oil? He has to be mindful. That is how one has to practice mindfulness. all the time, giving full attention, without dropping, without spilling any drop. If spill, is head cut off, neck finished. That is one simile the Buddha gave. Another simile was the stick to a cow. Suppose a person needs to take a cow across a field, like cornfield. It is not his own, but another person's cornfield. He wants to take the cow across the cornfield. So the cows, they normally eat when they go through, they eat both sides. But the person has to take care of it very well. For that, he has to use a stick. So when he uses the stick, he has to poke this side, or hit like that all the time to maintain, to take the cow across the field. Just like that, you have to practice mindfulness. Means continuously. It should be done continuously. That's the meaning. Some other similes gave, like watchful driver, like a watchful driver, safe driver. How the driver is mindful when he is driving. Another one was the Buddha's mindfulness is compared to the elephant's neck. You know, the elephant's neck is short, it is vulgar, it is the place where he has to protect all the time. He has to protect his neck because he has to protect this from the lion. Lion jumped onto the neck, and then he breaks the brain and eat it, devour it. Therefore, always the elephant has to protect his neck. It is short. It is the most important point. Therefore, whenever he wants to protect it, all the time he has to turn this way, that way, not only the neck, but whole body. That is how the elephant protects its neck. Just like that, mindfulness is to be protected. Once we develop, once we generate, it is to be protected. That is how we to maintain mindfulness. That is how we cultivate, develop mindfulness. Mindfulness is to be developed to understand fetters and cut off fetters. Buddha said, for the purpose of eradicating personality belief, develop mindfulness. Just like as if a person's head was on fire, or the head was smitten with a sword. Practice mindfulness with diligence. Practice with diligence. Mindfulness is one of the factors of the Noble Eightfold Path. That is Samma Sati, right mindfulness. Where the Buddha talked about 4 foundations of mindfulness. It is through 4 foundations of mindfulness that one can attain enlightenment. It's the part of the path. 4 foundations of mindfulness. In days to come, we want to talk about 4 foundations of mindfulness as well. So mindfulness, when practiced, Buddha has taught us to develop mindfulness, practice again and again. Bhavana means practice again and again. Meditation, bhavana, is developing, cultivating. You have to do it again and again, again and again. That is how we to practice. When we practice in such a way, we can understand that we are on the path, we are heading towards the attainment of enlightenment. It is through mindfulness that we can understand right. Through right mindfulness, we can understand right concentration, right knowledge, and come to right liberation. So friends, this is how we have to understand. The Buddha was born mindfully. He lived 80 years mindfully. He passed away mindfully. Before his passing away, Buddha said, Paripakko vayo maiham. Now I have come to the vayo maiham. My lifespan has come to the matured state. My lifetime is now ending, at the meaning. Lifespan is ending almost. Paripakko vayo maiham. Parittang mama jivitang. My life came to perfection, completion. Parittang mama jivitang. Pahaya vo gamissami. Now it is time for me to leave behind you all and go. To depart you all. Pahaya vo gamissami. Now I am ready to go. Pahaya vo gamissami. Katang me sanamattano. That is very important. I became my own refuge. I became my own refuge. Katang me saranamattano. Then Buddha said, Appamatta. Be heedful. Don't be heedless. Appamatta. Sati manto. Here, sati manto. Sati ma. What is sati? Mindful. Be mindful. That is the admonition at last. Before his last breath. Sati manto. Be mindful. Appamatta sati manto. Susila hotha. Be virtuous. Susila hotha. Then susamahita sankappa. Have good thoughts. Good thoughts. Susamahita sankappa. Sachitta manurakkata. Protect your mind. You see different admonitions, different instructions. Yo imasmeng dhamma vinaye appamatto vihasati. Whoever practiced diligently in this dispensation, pahaya jati sansaram, crossing over the flood of sansara, dukkha santang karisati, come to the end of suffering. This is how the Buddha has taught us. So, therefore, let's understand this Dhamma, this one thing, which is the most important thing in the teaching. This is the key. Mindfulness is the key. It is the watchword in the teaching of the Buddha. It is through mindfulness one can understand the four foundations of mindfulness. It is through mindfulness that one can understand the Four Noble Truths, dependent origination, and the three characteristics of existence. And finally, it is through mindfulness one can attain supreme bliss of Nibbana. So friends, let's practice mindfulness, develop mindfulness, cultivate mindfulness within these days, so that we can be happy, we can lead a happy life, peaceful life. and one day we can attain enlightenment. May we all attain enlightenment, supreme bliss of Nibbana. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.